Welcome to an FAQ video on the Linux command line. So the first thing that we want to look at is what makes up the command prompt. The command prompt is when we pull up a window that's going to have a text interface with the system. In this particular case, I've logged on to the CIS server. The command prompt is made up of a couple pieces. The first piece is the username. That's going to be the username of whoever you are logging into the server as. In this case, it's just me. Then you'll see the @ symbol, and then you'll see the server that you're logging into. Followed by that is the location of where you currently are. Now, that's not to say that all command prompts will be in this order. This is just the general default. We are using the Born Again shell, or bash. The command prompt is where you're going to enter in commands to interact with the computer. You can kind of think about it like sending a text message to the computer with a request. When we have the command line, each command is sort of put together like a sentence. The first piece of the sentence is the command that we are using. The second piece of the sentence is if you have any switches or options. And then the third piece is if you have any arguments. Now, sometimes you're going to have commands that don't have either. Let's take a simple command ls. ls is going to show us the list of all of the files and folders that are in our current directory. So you can see that this is actually color-coded, where all of my files are in the color white, all of my folders are in blue, my tarball is in red, and you can also see that I've got a couple symbolic links in teal. Now, this simple command ls will tell us all of the files and folders in our current folder. But we can actually get more out of the ls command. We can do something like add the switch L. So a switch or an option comes after the command. And in this particular case, I'm using the L option, which means long list. When I use the L option for long list, I have the ability to see who owns the file, when it was created, if it's a directory or a file or a link, and the permissions that are included. Now, let's say, however, I want to get some extra information, but only about one file. So let's say I want to get extra information about the fall 2020 file. What I can actually do is use the same long list, but I can pass it the argument of fall 2020. Now, what you just saw was something called tab completion. When you get to a unique set of characters, as in I only have one file or folder with the letters FA starting it, if I hit the tab key, which is above caps lock on most American keyboards, it will actually fill in the rest for me so I don't have to type the whole thing. It's a good little shortcut. So now what you're going to see is when I look at the long list for just that particular file, I can see all of the file permissions, who owns it, when it was created, and all of that information about that one single file by putting my sentence together correctly. So this is an example of how to put together a basic structure for a command. Now, this can get much more complex, and there are some commands that actually require arguments or multiple arguments. I chose ls as an example because it is a commonly used command, and there's a lot of things that we can do with it, and it's relatively easy to use. Please let me know if you have any questions.